Lawrence, wanted to introduce you to the Commercial Referral Network. This is where we can actually help you get 1 to 3 commercial referrals from your existing database in the next 30 days, probably a lot quicker than that. And you're going to get commercial brokers to do pretty much everything for you. Would that be of interest to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm interested in how I can make that happen. I've ran across several situations where people ask me about commercial deals or commercial land or commercial buildings. I have no clue about commercial or what exactly it entails.
A lot of times I find, that those are the times that it's expressly been asked of you about commercial, but there's a lot of times people just they're not aware of all the commercial activity around them. And
Right.
so I wanted to talk to, this right here is talking specifically to just being a little bit more aware of all of the activity around you and how to take that and turn that into referral fees for you without really doing anything other than you're already doing, right? So just keep doing all the normal business that you're doing, and we're going to show you how to basically be more aware of the commercial deals and turn that into revenue for yourself.
Okay.
And so let's just quickly talk about your sphere of influence, right? So we're going to talk about it in a couple different ways. So number one, everyone you know is either they're an employee who probably know the decision makers at a business that makes commercial decisions, right? They need leasing, they need more spaces, they need another location, they need to sell a building, they need to invest in other locations or investments for tax purposes. They're an employee that has access to people with commercial needs, or they're an owner themselves, a business owner who actually has those commercial needs themselves, or they're an investor who actually does commercial real estate investing full-time. That's literally all they do. So pretty much everyone you know has something to do with commercial, and a lot of people focus on this area right here, right? As a residential agent, you're focusing on just people who need to buy or sell a house, which is fine. That's a lot of them, but there's a lot of overlap with commercial needs too. And the idea is let's focus on those commercial residential needs. Let's also focus on the commercial needs that people have too, because you don't necessarily need to learn commercial to take advantage of it, right? And the people who have those commercial needs, say it's a business owner who wants to invest in another location, or they have another leasing need, they're going to be doing that whether or not you're involved. And why not take that relationship that you've already established and hand them off to a commercial broker that can take them the rest of the way and do all that heavy lifting and do all that work, and who's already investing in all the tools and resources for commercial. And your client would be happy, you'd get a referral fee, and then it would be a win-win for everybody.
So kind of like I just closed on a deal with a client back in October. They're both dentists.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of like a struggle to get them approved because they had recently leased out this dental office the year before, and they wrote off a ton of stuff like equipment and all that stuff. But back then I wasn't thinking about how I could help them lease out this property. So, and now obviously I would have to come to a commercial agent. And how would I benefit off of that? How is that relevant to my business in real estate? When I just closed on a deal with them as far as on the residential side, but now how can I go back to them right now?
So a couple things. Number one is as a business owner, they're going to try and write off as much as they can. So their taxable on paper income is going to be as low as possible. So there's ways to structure your books so that you can show on paper like, hey, yes, taxable. These are taxable write-offs and taxable losses, but they're not actual operational losses, right? And so depending on how they do their books, there's a way to restructure that so that you're making sure everything's clear, but then the lender can see clearly that their income is much more than their taxes or they're being taxed on, right? So that's a good way to reapproach them and say, look, I know we had trouble last time. Maybe you have trouble leasing some more space. Let's approach a business consultant or a business advisor, is what you would talk to about that, and see if we can help you restructure that in the future going forward. So next time you need to buy a house, or next time you need to, maybe open up a new location or get refinanced, you're in a better position. And then so that strengthens you, but that's also an opportunity for a commercial broker to enter the picture. And then going forward, if they do lease a new location, they can then look back to you and say, thank you for that. Here's a referral fee for getting that client over to us, right? And then the client wins too, because then they're kind of restructuring their books the way that need to happen so that they can then get financed next time.
How can you follow up? I mean, well, not follow up, but how do you know when their lease is going to be up? Can you see that online anywhere?
Sometimes you can. Okay. Sometimes you can. Usually it's a case-by-case basis. And that's another reason that it's important for agents like you who already know the client to introduce them to a commercial broker, because we can then take a look at the lease, find out when it's up, and then that goes into our files on when to follow up with them. Right. That's how we find out. Right. So either we do the business ourselves or we do a consultation with the client, and we know that's when we know to follow up with them and talk to them.
Okay.
So larger leases, that's going to be different. Like if it's a national tenant, then you're going to be able to find online when their lease is likely up.
Okay. So that's a talking point for me to reach out to my past client on, right? Okay.
Yeah. So one of the things that we do on the commercial side is we do a yearly kind of checkup. Like your financial advisor will go in annually and do kind of a health report. See, how are you doing? Any adjustments we need to make? Are we good where we're at? Or do we want to take a new position on something? Same thing in real estate and with your business. How's your business going? Do you need more space? Do you need to invest in something else? There's a bunch of depreciation and other tax reasons to maybe reinvest from where they're at, even if they're just investing in the property, not a business owner. There's reasons to redeploy the equity depending on how long they've owned it. And so for us, it's good for us to go back every year and check in and do an annual checkup. So if they haven't done that, that's one thing that you can talk to your client about. Like, have you had your property equity checked on in the last year or so? And they're probably going to tell you they know where it's at. Well, there could be reasons or could be tax incentives that you maybe qualify for that you might not have applied for yet. Maybe you connect with my commercial guy and get an analysis done just to see if there's anything you qualify for that you might not have applied for yet.
Okay. Right. So that's a yearly check-in, right?
Yearly check-in. Yeah. And that's how we stay in front of it. And a lot of commercial brokers aren't even doing that.
Right.
They should be doing that. And so if you approach the dentist is a good example, or any other investors, a lot of them may have someone, like if it's a multifamily guy, might have someone that they talk to regularly. But oftentimes they don't have like you would have your financial advisor. You don't have your commercial real estate person.
Right.
And so you being in with the client, have an opportunity to have a warm introduction to the commercial broker, because they probably don't have someone they talk to every year about their properties. Right?
Yeah, I don't think they do. Especially these clients. I know I'm going to follow up with them on their residential that they just purchased. But as far as their business, it's a lease, so I don't think it's actually something that is. Like I said, I don't know how long a typical lease is in that situation, a commercial situation, or how often you're supposed to follow up on a lease. If it's triple net, double net, all that.
If it's a dentist, it's probably typically 5 to 7 years, maybe 10 years, depending on the situation. And then they'll have options to extend. And so typically we call that the base term. So your base, if you're renting a house, it'll be like every year, that's your base term. And then you can renew. Same thing on a commercial. You would have a base lease term, which is typically much longer than a year, 5, 7, maybe 10 years. Could be longer. And then you'll have options to continue that same lease if you want. And so
within that
base term,
5 to 7 year term, okay, got it.
Right. And so we would approach them typically just a year or two before their lease expires, or rolls to an option, and then just do an audit, just see how it's at, where the market's at, see if there's anything they would like to do, or if they're just going to exercise their lease or not.
Okay.
And there could be some opportunity for us to make some money on that, and sometimes not, but it's always good to help.
Right. It would be a resource.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so if we're not focused on the commercial, we're missing out. This is kind of a different way to look at it. Your sphere of influence would be the circle. there's people that have residential needs that are within your sphere, but also outside, right? You're trying to grow your sphere in the direction of more residential needs. And then some people within your sphere don't need residential, right? But there's an overlap of people that that also need residential real estate, need to buy something.
Right.
We have the same thing, like I was saying, with commercial, right? And they're not necessarily in that same group, but there's people that that have commercial real estate needs. And if you're not asking about it, you probably don't know about it, but they're still going to buy that building. They're still going to lease them some space. So you might as well ask them about it. And then there's a beautiful overlap between those two, right? So residential need, but also they have a commercial need, and you happen to know them. That's where you can kind of double dip.
Yeah, that's the sweet spot, right?
Yeah. It would look something like this, right? Where you might have sold someone a house, they enjoyed, your service, but they also happen to have a commercial need. Now, if you hadn't asked them about it or asked the right questions or paying attention to it, you might not know that they have a need to buy an apartment, right?
Right.
And so they're going to still buy the apartment probably, but they're not going to use you. You're not going to get a referral fee. You might as well work on that, right? And this was I think we had asked before. I think I asked you about this a while ago. The transaction value. So the house might be worth $800,000. Your commission might be $24,000.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say 90 hours of work. I said just 40 hours of work on the house. Maybe it did take 90 hours of your work, but still, that's $600 an hour, which is not bad.
Yeah, that's great money,
right?
Yeah, I mean, and we're in between that 3%, 2.5% to 3% mark on average for commission. Depending.
Just using round, easy numbers. We could use 2% too. But so he's also going to buy that apartment. Let's say it's comparable. Say it's only it's like $1 billion apartment building. But you don't know apartments. You don't know where they're listed at. You don't know how to find the off-market ones. You don't pay for all the tools that a commercial broker does. So you would just refer it out, and your commission on that, assuming they get 3% as well, your commission would be $7,500 for a referral fee.
So
a deal like that.
It's 70. Okay, 25% referral fee on 3%. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's on a purchase, correct?
Yeah. In this case, we're assuming a purchase, right? Purchase or sell. Likewise. Now on the sale, the beautiful thing about that, especially with what I work on, because I help multifamily owners trade out of multifamily and into net lease properties. That's kind of my sweet spot. So I'm going to pay you a referral fee on both sides. So when I sell the apartment, I'm going to pay you a referral fee, and then we take that money and exchange it into a net lease property. I'm also going to pay you a referral fee because you kept that money with me. We kept it rolling forward.
Okay.
That's not everyone's going to do that. That's just what I do.
Okay. So I need to stay with you again. You
need to refer me your commercial clients, right?
Right. Well, you bring the value, so definitely.
The point being here is the leverage, right? So you worked 40 hours. You're working on this side. Number one, you don't really want to spend the hours and hours to learn this side, or the headache of trying to work this. Mm-hmm. You referred it out. You didn't spend 40 hours. You spent like maybe 15, 20 minutes handing that off. Right.
Right. Which I know
you made 70.
Majority agents will try to take this on and probably spend way more hours than that trying to do it themselves.
I've been doing this kind of presentation, I guess, for over 10 years. This is how we get most of our leads, is from, we worked with residential agents to refer them over to us. And then we get a residential lead, we refer it back to that same agent, right? We don't do residential. But almost universally, everyone's tried it at least once. Like a client really liked what you did. You got offered like, hey, I've got this apartment building. Can you help me sell it? Or can you help me buy something? And then they tried to do it, and it sucked. Sucked. It was just a headache, and maybe it went through, maybe it didn't, but almost universally it was a big headache, and they tend to just shy away from it from then on. So instead, just spend like 15 minutes, and if you do the math, $7,500 for 15 minutes of work, your hourly rate would be $30,000.
That's crazy.
for that amount of work, right? So, and you're dealing with the client anyway, so you might as well. Point is, it's not either or. You can't do the house or do the apartment. You can do both, right? You can spend 15 minutes handing them out to a commercial broker. The problem is finding a commercial broker and establishing that relationship and tracking everything, which is the solution that we bring to the table, is the tracking. And I'll tell you a bit about that too. This kind of just goes over the same thing. It just says, hey, 15 minutes of work can get you $30,000 an hour, in equivalent income. But the point is that you already know these people. They know, like, and trust you. Me doing the cold calls, me, sending marketing out, just listed flyers, trying to follow up with leads that came in as buyers and then try and convert them to, listings. I can still do that, but I'd much rather have you, who already has an agreement with me, call me up, say, hey, I've got so-and-so, they want to, look at what their property's worth. Can you take a look at it? We do a call, there's a handoff, I list the property. Like, I'd much rather do that. I'm happy to give a referral fee out for that. So you have a leverage that I don't have. You have that sphere. You have all these people that you can talk to that can then be referred over to a commercial broker, whether it's me or not.
Now, am I having a referral agreement signed with the commercial broker beforehand?
Yeah. So
Same situation as in residential.
Yeah, I don't know if I put the slide in here, but number one, you're going to want to kind of put your contacts or your sphere of influence into buckets. What do you mostly deal with? Are there probably more industrial needs, or is it just a bunch of people who have investment properties like multifamily?
Mm-hmm.
What product type are you going to kind of focus on? And then you're going to go find a broker for that. And I must have taken I think I took the slide out for that. So here's some examples while we talk about that. What you'll want to do is find out what property type you specialize in. So multifamily, retail, self-storage, whatever it is that, the majority of your influence is, because you're going to want to start with one product type. I do a lot of multifamily to net lease, right? So that's my specialty. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go on Crexi or LoopNet, which is, you can get a free account. You're going to find the people who list that type of property in your market. And there's only going to be a handful, a couple of them in your market that do multifamily, a couple of them that do self-storage, industrial, concrete tilt-up. There's one person in my area that does that. And you're going to find out who that is. You're going to not call the listing agent. You're going to call the junior agent. And you're going to have a conversation with them about what you have to offer, which is, I have, it appears, quite a bit of people in my sphere that have a need for industrial space. I'd like to see about sending those to you. Can we put a referral agreement in place between me and you? If I send you someone, I do a call and a handoff to you, can I get a referral fee for that?
So,
and the junior agent's going to say yes.
Why not call the main agent? Like, I see all these agents sign, these commercial agent signs on leases, on outside of buildings, all that. Why not call that person that's dealing directly with the landlord or the owner?
Because they're the rainmaker, right? So if a property is listed for sale, especially on the market, it's probably because they want to pull in buyer leads and more seller leads. A lot of inventory trades off of market, right? And that's another reason to talk to a commercial broker, is because they know all the other commercial brokers that deal with that property type, and they can go talk to them and find out about the upcoming inventory, and then you can make the deal happen before it even hits the market, right? So the listing agent is out there talking to more owners and securing more listings. He's not dealing with the buyer's leads that come in. That's the junior agent. So the call that you make to the listing agent is going to go to voicemail. He's going to forward it to the junior agent. You're going to call from the junior agent.
Got it. So the junior agent is pretty much like a secretary.
Well, they're working plenty of deals too, right?
Well, yeah. No, not as disrespect, but they're kind of like the low man on a totem pole.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, I reach out to the junior. How would I find the junior's information? Is it listed on LoopNet?
Almost always it'll be listed, right? There'll be the primary agent, and then there'll be one or two, maybe three junior agents, depending on the price point. And call any of those, and they'll probably pick up your call and they'll deal with you. And that's where you can establish that relationship.
Got it.
right? And you can do a blanket referral agreement, or you could do ideally it'd be a referral agreement form. They might have one they like that you then send the client over every time.
Yeah. So now residential agents are used to going to car forms and getting the referral off the car forms or whatever forms it is. I know for California, it's car forms. It's a referral agreement. What if they're not in California? What if they're in a different state and I'm calling on behalf of a family member, a friend? Like, how does that work?
You're talking like you have someone here that you established a relationship with, and they say, "Oh yeah, I've got a deal in Michigan I'd like to offload."
Yes.
Right. Well, depends on your brokerage. They tend to have they could have a universal referral agreement that they want to use cross state. It just depends on your brokerage. I think ours pretty much universally has the same referral agreement across every state, and that's one of the reasons I joined ours is because I don't have to go find a commercial broker in Michigan when I go list or sell something over there. I can just go to our commercial broker in Michigan and talk to them. But yeah, you'll want to check with your brokerage and decide what they want. And then the broker in question, what I'm talking about is the ones in your market, because the people you know are in your market, right?
Right.
But if it's cross state, they may have something of their own. But you would do the same thing. You would go to Michigan, you'd find the product type in question, you'd find out who's doing the transactions, talk to the junior agent.
Got it. Okay. So the junior agent is the go-to person. Now, what if the junior agent is super busy? What do I do at that point?
Call the office.
Okay.
Call their office. Yeah. Because there's probably more than one junior agent. There's probably at least two junior agents. And you can call the main guy or girl too, but oftentimes you're going to be able to get a hold of the junior agent more often than not. Same thing in escrow. I've noticed, if there's an escrow coordinator, you're going to talk to their assistant, usually the person who's assigned to that file.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's a commercial specific thing or not, but especially in commercial, for me, that's what I've noticed.
No, I mean, when we call a escrow company, typically it's the main escrow person is in charge that we're dealing with if it's a small outfit. But if it's a larger outfit, obviously they got assistants, kind of like the juniors.
Okay.
In this case.
All right. Well, that would be that. Here's just some actual examples. You may have seen this before. I took 4 different examples of these are real life examples from a broad strokes perspective. There's a vineyard there, retired attorney referred us someone that they knew, wanted to just check and see what their property was worth. We ended up listing it. He made well over 100,000 on a referral fee. And for 30 minutes of work, that's $200,000 an hour. I like to put it in the terms of how much per hour was he making, or were they making? Apartment sale, same thing. I think they texted us at that point. It was just either a text or an email. They called me, said, "Hey, can you take the referral?" I said, "Yes." They texted me the number, and that was it. That's all they did.
And they got a $20,000 referral.
Yep.
Now, let me ask you this question: how long do these transactions typically take on a commercial side?
Vineyard, this one was quite long. This one I remember this was in Napa. This one took about a year because we had
about a year to close.
Yep. Yeah, because we actually ended up cutting it up into different pieces. It was too big and to do in one piece. We did that in several different tranches. And then this one was a couple of months. This one was a couple of months. I sold an apartment one time it's similar to this one, where it was a 30-day cash close, no contingencies. And it was similar to this. It was in Southern California. They brought it to us. And so it can be very fast. Okay.
So the reason why I'm asking, because your fast is different than a residential's fast. We're normally, typically 30 to 45 days max. So your fast is what, a couple months, 2-3 months?
My fast is a couple months. Yeah, 2 months would be super fast.
Okay.
Yeah. Plus, it's a really clean, multifamily deal. We could do somewhat quickly, but you've got a lot, you've got like 15, 20 units, you got 15 or 20 doors to inspect, right? 15 or 20 leases to underwrite. A lot of other stuff. Leases too. Leases actually go fairly fast. There's no escrow with a lease.
Okay.
Right? You make an agreement, and once the lease is signed, you typically get paid half at that time, right when the lease is signed. And then there's work that needs to be done, right? An R&D lease, right? They had the clean room and the tech room that they had to put in place. So there was work to be done. Then there's the second half gets paid once they open for business.
So once the lease gets signed, you get half the commission.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me ask you this question: are you verifying before you get into writing an offer or a lease on a property or on a commercial space? Are you verifying that the landlord or seller in most cases are offering compensation? And do you
Yes.
have, on the residential side, we have to check first now. It used to be listed on our MLS all over compensation, but now that's gone away. Instead of making my client bear the compensation, are you checking with the landlord or seller to see if they're willing to pay a compensation?
Yeah, that's part of your first conversation when I do my coaching. That's the first thing you do, right? So you have a conversation. We do the rule of three. So when we have a client, whether it's I guess this would be in the buy case, we're going to talk to the client. We're going to establish the fact that, hey, commission's not established by law. Here's my minimum commission. Here's how that scales up, right? Because we get less percentage as, I'm not going to get a 3% on $5 million. It's going to go down and down until it's like maybe 1% or less. Likely the seller's going to pay for that. We're going to know ahead of time. But we'll adjust our price accordingly, depending on how much they're willing to compensate. But here's my fee. And then when we talk to the owners, talk to the listing agent, that's part of our question. We find the deal story, we find all the good, everything about it. And then part of our conversation is, what's your co-op fee for the buy side? And they tell us. And then depending on how that conversation went, I might ask them, okay, so that's 4% split half and half, correct? Because they might split it 2 one side, 3 the other side, or something like that.
Yeah, got it.
They're typically not going to do that, but some people do.
Yeah, I always know it's always a sticky subject when you ask about compensation. However, I know on our end, we have to be full transparency. They should always provide transparency, but I just wondered how that works in commercial opposed to like the residential side. And is that like a touchy subject if the seller or landlord is not willing to compensate the broker on the purchase or the lease?
It's usually not a problem. Actually, now that things have changed a bit, the only change for us has been now we have to have something signed by the buyer when we represent a buyer.
Okay,
we take them on.
So you guys have to have that same.
Right. It's not just a verbal discussion anymore. We actually do have to have that signed. It's recommended you always have a buyer broker signed. I didn't really, and if I felt previously before all this, if I felt I had to have a buyer broker signed, I wouldn't take the client. Like if I didn't trust them to that degree. But now we just have to make sure that happens every time.
So, and sorry for all these questions, but in that case, if you have to have a buyer's broker agreement signed beforehand, you can't show, well, I don't know if you guys really go out and show leases up front and all that stuff, but you can't physically go show the client a space for lease or a potential space to purchase until you have that buyer broker agreement signed, correct?
On the leasing case too, yeah. Yep.
Both sides.
Got to have that signed. Yep.
Okay. All right.
As soon as is reasonably, as soon as is reasonable, I think is the term that they use, right? When you meet a client.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And then in response to when the seller doesn't pay the commission, is that a touchy subject? Oftentimes the seller won't pay any commission as you get higher and higher, right?
Wow.
Right. So I've got a multifamily development right now where the seller's not going to pay anything, but the buyer recognizes that. Everyone recognizes that. We just have to work that into the deal. And then so there's some touchy back and forth that happens as you're starting to get into that situation. It's almost like a chicken or the egg situation until you get everything down in writing.
Right.
But that's somewhat common in commercial as you get above 5 million.
Okay. So it does get a little touchy here and there.
You don't want it squeezed out.
Right.
Which it could easily happen, and they're not gonna, they get to save a couple $100,000, they might just do that. Depends on the parties involved.
Yeah, and that's what I was asking. Do you have exclusivity with a buyer or tenant on a buyer broker agreement up front before you even get to that point? Because you're doing a lot of footwork, you're doing a lot of work, research, and spending a ton of time on an asset for this client. I'm sure you will have to get that up front before you start that work, right?
In that case, it's not a specific buyer that we're looking at, right? So you've got a $25 million deal that you have an opportunity to work. You might not have a buyer in hand for that, right? But you know the owner, you get all the details you need for that. The owner says, look, I'm not going to pay a fee for it. See if you can find it from the buyer. Maybe you work it, maybe you don't, but it's a good opportunity for me to go out and find buyers and talk to other people. But at that point, I'm in a situation where I have to be careful about how do I get compensated, right? And so we just got to work ourselves into it.
Okay.
And then these are two other examples: so lease, and then the mobile home park. This was actually the biggest referral fee I ever gave out. It was over $150,000.
$150,000. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
20 minutes. 20-minute handoff.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow. Some agents won't even see that in their whole 2 years of being in real estate as a residential agent.
Well, the thing is, these people. This is just this guy was not trafficking in luxury homes or anything. You just knew these people who invested in this mobile home park, and they wanted to see what it was worth. And we did the valuation and decided to move forward. So you know these people. You know all of these 4 examples. You probably know someone like this. And
I'm actually going through these examples. I know quite a bit more than I thought I would know. Now we're going through this.
Yeah. So the problem after that is cool. I might be able to find a cool deal. How do I qualify it? How do I actually refer that to a commercial broker? How do I track it? How do I actually make sure I get paid? Like I said, the vineyard took over a year.
Correct.
A commercial broker, are they going to come back to you after a year? Ideally they would, but are they? I don't know. So how do you track all that? And we put together, this is where that solution came from, is we put together, what we used to do is we do this presentation and we would have people just work with us. We would do the phone handoff. And it was great. That's how all those last examples happened, was a phone handoff, just an actual handoff, and we just kept track of everything. But we upgraded everything. We actually have a done-for-you system now, where you actually you sign up for our network, you get a unique link that starts out with just one link that you get to share that goes to multifamily owners. And what it does is it asks them if they want to do a property optimization plan, which is basically, it's a report that we put together in addition to evaluation that's going to show them all the low-hanging fruit on how they can improve their property, right? So different ways they can optimize things, different leasing strategies, everything they would want to know. And some they might know, some they might not know. Tax incentives, things they can qualify for. So you get your own link to that. They answer a couple questions. They go into a dashboard that then tracks it from now to the end of time on where they're at in the process. Are they just a lead? Have I spoken to them? Have we proposed a listing? Are they listed? Are they in escrow? Or have they closed? And then there's a post-close process too. So you sign up for the network, you get these links, we track everything. You actually get a dashboard that tracks everything. We train you on everything. We train you how to share them, when to share them, how to talk about them. And then obviously you sign a referral agreement with us, and you get paid once everything closes. And you get to see it through the whole process.
Typically, how long is that training to learn your software? For, let's say I have a ton of different software I use. How easy is it for me to understand your software?
It is, let me see if I've got the link here.
Okay.
You would sign up, And you would get 2 links. You actually get 2 links. Number one is one to grow this network. And then you get a credit every time you introduce someone to the network. So if you introduce 10 people, you don't actually have to pay for anything. It's all paid for. Number 2 is your first investor link. So we actually have a whole bunch of these. You have to level up. You have to invite people in to unlock different levels. So you start with just one investor link that gives them the property optimization plan. So once you log in, you take a quick class, but you just open up this area and you have your own link that you copy and you paste it wherever you want. You can see here I've unlocked another one for this account. So
what I'm looking at here is the cow. Oh yeah, it is unlocked. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got these original 2, right? So the referral network that we're talking about and the equity report, which is where the pop plan comes in. So you can share these. If you get enough people into either of these, you unlock another layer. You have to have a quick training. It's maybe an hour-long training on any of these. You have to pass a test that says you know what's in this book and you know how it works. Otherwise, it's useless to you. And then this will be unlocked for you. So you see here, there's a little learning tab.
Yes.
Okay. There's also this whole area with the different strategies on referrals and all kinds of stuff in here too. Training, strategy calls if you wanted to. But you would do the learning tab. You would unlock it. You'd do the learning tab. You would take the class, take the test, unlock that link, and then you've got this link unlocked. And so as far as how long does it take to learn it, I mean, today you could start this and start sharing it today. We have everything written for you. So if you want to share this on social media, or if you want to share it on an email, or if you want to just talk to someone on the phone about it, we've got all the scripts for everything, whether it's a verbal script or a social media post or an email. We've got posts for all that. All you do is copy, paste your link in there.
So and this is all accessible through the dashboard, my own personal dashboard as a residential agent. And you said it's you have a learning. You have to learn how to use the dashboard or the system itself. Let's say I want to share that link out. Let's say I have a friend right now I want to share that link to. Is it a landing page for them, or is it just a link? And when they go to that link, then they see the landing page.
They go to that link. This is the one in question that we're talking about here. So if they go to that page, it looks the same for everyone. It just, if they arrive here from your link and they do anything on this page, the system knows that it was you who brought them, and the system adds them to your dashboard. You see their name, you see where they're in the process. And then what's cool is as they go through, and once we value their property and establish what we think the commission is going to be, your dashboard will populate with your likely commission, and then that'll start to stack up. Sweet. Which is cool to look for. Yeah. So yeah, this is the first, and you don't, basically you sign up, you get access to the network. We have an onboarding call. That's the first step, is an onboarding call. It's a strategy call.
Okay.
And that's where I will train you a bit on this initial link. So you don't actually have to take a class for this. This is automatically opened up. We make sure your referral agreement's signed. We make sure you know what this is about. We make sure you know the whole program and how to navigate. And then you start sharing.
So I'm getting a referral agreement signed beforehand, before I even have clients in this dashboard. Is it across the board, whatever it is, it's a certain percentage, a certain dollar amount? How does that work?
Right now it's 15%.
15%. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Does that change depending on the deal, or it's just 15%?
Right now it's just flat 15%. We've talked about changing that depending on how many people you bring in. Right?
Okay.
If you're converting large quantities of people to listings, like it's high quality that you're bringing in, maybe we adjust that upwards and you get a bigger percentage.
Okay.
Right. So if someone brings me their best friend who wants to buy multifamily and they're not going to go anywhere and they're going to be very agreeable, I might give you a bigger referral fee.
Gotcha.
Than if it's just a name of someone that you know. Right.
What if it's not you, Dusty? What if it's another commercial agent I found off of Crexy or LoopNet, or how do those referrals typically work, and how trustworthy are those people at that point to follow up with? And within a year, do they have databases like or like dashboards like this for you to follow up where your referral is at?
Oh, they won't, but I have a course where we give you all the tracking stuff that you need for that. That is the commission catalyst, right? Okay. So we've got a checklist for vetting brokers. We've got a tracker for the clients. We've got a course that's, this is all the Cliff Notes version of this course, but we've got the full course on this. And then there's a bunch of other, I think there's, a bunch of other bonuses that are included as well. But we can get you I would take that class if I were you. And then it gets you all the goodies. Oh, but you also have access to this if you sign up for the network.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll want to track it, and you make a tracker, and then follow up with the broker, because it's going to be kind of on you. Get something signed, but then follow up. You're going to have to follow up yourself.
Got it.
Unless you start up a system like this. Now, what's cool about this is as we unlock things, I showed you the ebook that we have. Yeah. That's like number 6 here would be one of the unlocks. Right now, it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, but we'll implement a system eventually where it's like credits. Like you have a certain number of people you refer in that are owners. You then get to unlock any of these that you want. You just have to take the class, and then that gets unlocked. Right? Say you have an interest in 1031 exchanges, you can take the 1031 exchange class. Once you pass that, you can unlock the lead magnet for that, and then share that with your investors. Right? And so the idea is I don't want to overwhelm people, so we're just going to start with one, and then if you want to, you can add the complexity however much you want.
And this is all inside my dashboard.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So that'll be in the learning area. You can decide which one you want to take that class. It'll open up. So there's in the learning area, there's a referral link course, and within that course, there's all the different lead magnets you can take, and you can take whichever one you want. It'll unlock that lead magnet, and then off you go.
Awesome.
Yeah. What else? So on my end, on the receiving end, so that's the referring out end. I also have a refer in area. So I'm receiving these leads. Our brokerage is receiving these leads. We need more brokers to receive these leads. So you can actually refer brokers in too. So if you have a commercial broker in mind that you want to refer business to, I would like to talk to them so that we can have all your leads go to that broker, and we can set them up with a receiving account that receives the leads. And here's how the whole system works. You see here, can I hear you? I had a call come in.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So these are the lead magnets that we talked about. You get these links. You can share them wherever you want. Share on email, call someone, text someone, social media. We've got all the templates here. That's pretty much free. You can share that. And then they go in the funnel. And your dashboard will track everything. But we're the ones working on it. So the commercial brokers are working the whole system, every lead, and you get to watch it go through the process. We have automated systems that'll manage all of this. There's email campaigns, text campaigns that go throughout the entire year.
Just a drip campaign in general.
Drip campaigns. We've got notices for the brokers to call them if they hit a certain. The system also grades them, so it if they open a certain number of emails, it indicates they're a hot lead. It's going to say, hey, you should call that prospect. So this is all automated for our commercial brokers on this side, and on your side, all you have to do is put people into the funnel.
So I just feed my residential side. I just feed the dashboard. Obviously, I have to feed it what type of client they are, or lead they are, or a prospect, right? If they're multifamily, if they're a lease tenant or a business. How does that work?
Right now, it's mostly geared toward multifamily. Just again, that's what I tend to do. But if they're not multifamily, we can then pivot, because we've got our national brokerage across pretty much every state. And we can pivot if we needed to. But most of these are going to be directed. Most of the lead magnets are directed at multifamily, but they go across, like 1031 exchange. That's something that every product type would like to know about.
Right. Even residential. I mean, we especially investors that we deal with. Now, are you advising those clients on the 1031 exchange side? Who's handling that part? Because I'm not
Sometimes
fully.
they have someone they prefer. So the 1031 exchange is a third party, similar to escrow, right?
Okay.
And so there's like IPX or asset preservation are the two. IPX is the major one in the US. I think they do the most exchanges of anyone.
IPX. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I tend to recommend. But I'll have, just like you would have escrow companies you would recommend, I'll recommend an exchange company.
Okay.
Depending. Some of them, sometimes they have their own exchange company. Sometimes I like that. Sometimes I don't. I had a deal fall apart in Texas where he had his local exchange company that didn't know how to do a reverse exchange, and that
see, stuff like
was
that.
frustrating.
I don't think residential agents, like myself included, knows anything about reverse exchanges. I have no idea.
Well, that's what the exchange class is for.
Okay, gotcha. So you have a class on that. How much does this thing cost a residential agent, to be a part of?
Until we hit a threshold, right? Because we can only receive so many leads. We're going to cap it at $100 a month for all of this. All this is $100 a month. And then once we reach capacity, that's going to start to go up exponentially until we can get more people on the receiving side, as it were. But for now, it's $97 a month.
97.
And here, and I got to jump off here soon. Is that the last page? That might have been the last page. I thought we had more after that. Maybe it's frozen. Okay. But we can go to ospreycbs.com/registration. Oh, there we go. Oh, there's another thing we didn't talk about. Built into the system is an AI assistant for commercial real estate, 24/7 commercial broker access, and all of the commercial real estate training you could possibly hope for. So, training that we've sold for $2,500, 70 hours of training for commercial real estate. If you wanted to do commercial, it's all there too. You can get that. As far as broker access, we have a chat function where you can chat with commercial broker. We have a one-on-one meeting that you can schedule with a commercial broker. We have Friday office hours. We cover a topic every Friday live, and then we troubleshoot problems. We've helped people close $10, $14 million deals, their first commercial deals, just by going to office hours. And then if it's 3 a.m. and you don't have any access to anyone, you can chat with Commercial GPT, which you have access to there too. And it's a commercial real estate AI assistant that we've programmed.
Wow.
Yeah.
You said 24/7 access to a commercial broker.
That's what I mean is you've got like, and then there's also the forum. So you can do the forum, you can do chat, you can schedule a call, you can join us on office hours. You can talk to Commercial GPT. Like it's a commercial real estate brokerage in your pocket, ready to go. You can now have commercial real estate as a skill or service that you offer, whether you're a big broker, small broker, small brokerage on your own. We can now basically offer you support on the commercial side, in addition to all the links that you get too.
Is there a fee for that additional assistance?
Right now, that's all included.
So all included.
All that's just one fee. Just keep it simple. Let's load the system. Let's stress test it and see what happens.
Residential agents, Dusty, they have a shiny object syndrome problem. Meaning anything that's out there, they're reaching for and grabbing and paying for monthly. If I'm a residential agent and I am, let's say, I just want to refer a deal to you, how would I go about doing that?
Go about referring me a deal?
Yeah, let's say, hey, Dusty, I don't have the $97 a month, but I got a referral here. Refer you this deal. How do I do that?
The page, I don't know if I have it on the picture here, but the page here for this also has an Ask a Broker question, and just schedule a call with me.
Schedule a call.
Yeah. Right now it's I use this as well. So CRE Quick Start will go to the same place, and that'll go to the page where you can either sign up or you can schedule a call with me. And then we can talk about a referral at that point too, if you like.
Perfect.
Okay.
Dusty, thank you for this time. This is very informative. You got my wheels spinning now at this point.
All right. Good. Well, let me know if I can help. And then if you share this with anyone, let's have them go over to that website.
So we just go to crequickstart.com, and that's where we sign up.
That's where you'll sign up. Yep.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.